My name is Govindan Somaskandan. I will be interviewing Mr. Sam Kannappan and Meenakshi Kannappan on behalf of Foundation for India Studies, Houston, for the Indo-American Oral History Project.
My name is Sam Kannappan and my wife is Meenakshi Kannappan. We are glad to be here.
Okay, sir. What made you to think to come to USA?
My grandfather traveled to Burma and my father studied in Sri Lanka. So I thought of traveling to foreign countries.
Why did you choose to come to Houston, Texas?
I applied for 11 US universities. I received admission with assistantship at University of Texas in Austin. So I came to Austin in September 1968 and graduated with Masters in Mechanical Engineering. And Houston was the place with plenty of job opportunities. So I moved to Houston in 1969 looking for a job and I settled in Houston.
Could you please elaborate more on your background?
I'm a mechanical engineer. My specialty is pipe stress analysis, and I wrote a book in pipe stress analysis called Introduction to Pipe Stress Analysis, published by John Wiley and Sons in 1985, and it's a very good introductory book. All over the world it's used, and I also developed EasyFlex computer program for engineering analysis. Those days, people were not familiar with personal computers, software, hardware. It's all mainframe computers. We used to submit the job through terminals. The mainframe computers were in Dallas, Kansas City, Minneapolis, and the PCs came later in the 80s. And till now I do all specialty analysis for large corporations.
What is your present job, sir?
I'm a mechanical engineer with pipe stress analysis background, and I do consulting for ExxonMobil Corporation.
Okay, Mr. Kannappan, you came to USA almost 40 years back. Could you please tell us how Houston has changed culturally, technologically, socially, and ethnically?
Okay. First, I'll take culturally. There are only about 100 University of Houston students in 1969. There were few families working for companies like Bonnell Root, Schlumberger, and Lockheed. And most of us lived near University of Houston in apartments. And there were no language classes. We used to have some Diwali function at the university center. That's how we got started. And through the years, different organizations came about. One, Dr. Alagrasamy and myself, we founded the Bharati Kalaimandram in 1974. And the first movie screen was Uyarnda Manithan. And we started having Tamil classes at Meenakshi Temple location. And the Meenakshi Temple was founded in October 1977. And culturally, I think now a lot of activities in Houston. Starting from Anjali Center, we have many dance schools and also teachers teaching music. So children have an opportunity to learn Indian, and you can talk about they're more knowledgeable now in what's happening in India. And if you talk about technology, oil and gas was just about the only thing in Houston in the early years. And with the landing on the moon by Apollo 11 in 1969, and with NASA Manned Space Flight Center, a lot of Indian engineers came to Houston. So the Indian engineers population increased in Houston in the early 70s. And many companies, including ABB Lamas, companies like that, they start having branch, just like M.W. Kellogg company moved from New York. So the growth around 1975 was phenomenal technologically. And socially, we were kind of not very comfortable mingling with the mainstream Americans because of our accent, things like that. But slowly we got into kind of break the ice and get to know colleagues and neighbors soon after, maybe mid-80s. It took quite a bit of time to become socially, you can say, acceptable in the mainstream community. And ethnically, you know, there's very special things which are done now which were not available at the time. For example, when somebody dies, last rites, there were no priests to perform that. And with 3 other friends, I started what's called the Patients Hospitality Committee in 1971. And some of the patients died in Houston after open heart surgery. They came by themselves, nobody with them from India. So I have to do the cremation and have to read some passage from Bhagavad Gita. And so from that time on, now every ritual you can think of in India, you have people performing that in Houston. And like Govindan, Saradam, all those things can be done with minimum notice in Houston now.
Oh, you have gone through a major, like 50 years of life here. The interesting question would be, have you ever felt racially discriminated?
Not very much, but in early years it was very difficult for Indian families to get apartment. When I finally asked through some friends, I was told that the Indian cooking and the smell, it spreads throughout the wing of the apartment. There were objections for that. And then from Africa, when the Indian Americans came to Houston as refugees, we were not able to find apartments for them. So the apartment was one area. Other than that, most of the things were more settled, not directly affected.
Did you find anything in your job?
Well, as far as at the lower levels and the mid levels, there were no problems because based on the market conditions, the companies were giving us raise, good money, started low, but we were moved up as far as salary is concerned, but not very high management positions. Indians, they did not get any 80s.
Okay, looking at this racial discrimination and other issues, are you concerned about your kids or our kids, about our other Indian kids?
No, not really. I think they are doing very well in schools. Most of them are engineers and doctors, lawyers, and they do very well. And except that they are got fit with the 2 cultures, East and West. East and West, and things are different at home, and the school it is different. So I think there is a problem for the kids to adjust, but the success of Indian kids in schools encourages me to think there won't be any major problem for them. They are doing very well.
Very good. What do you suggest for youngsters to overcome all the barriers such as cultural, language, and racial issues?
Well, Indian Americans come from Eastern background. There is the joint family system is very strong. Compared to the Western system is hard work and punctuality. So my request to the youngsters is to take the good from both systems. Like I just said, the family values, joint family system, they need to adopt from the parents, grandparents, and the Indian system, Eastern system, and do what Americans do as far as hard work and punctuality. Those things, they need to follow the Western thing. So if we are able to combine these two, they will be very successful.
Okay, Mr. Kannappan, could you please tell us about your contribution to the Hindu community?
I started as editor of Hindu Worship Society, publishing newsletter Jyoti with 400 people receiving by mail, US mail. And then 1977, I am the founder secretary for Sri Meenakshi Temple Society of Houston. And I also started the GoBio Houston chapter. That's organization for global Indians, Houston chapter. And as an Indo-American level, I was the coordinator, actually co-chairman for the Millennium Festival, where we did it in January 27th, 2001 in Houston. That attracted about 20,000 people on the day in George Brown Convention Center in Houston. And overall, I don't know, my contribution has been starting from 1971 through now towards Hindu community and also Indo-American community.
Well, could you please also tell us about your local community and how much are you involved in it?
Well, the 9/11 really shook us up, because right after 9/11 there were fear among Indian Americans that as immigrants we are going to be affected. So I conducted seminars with the help of US Department of State and the City of Houston Police Department about the hate crimes. And from the official point of view and also from the Indo-American point of view, I did conduct seminars. So Houston was one of the places in USA with minimal problem in that area. And then the Hurricane Katrina came. A lot of people came to Houston from New Orleans and Louisiana, and City of Houston accommodated them in Astrodome, and I coordinated the computer services for them to locate their relatives, and that was Katrina. Then the much bigger problem happened with Hurricane Ike, which completely devastated Galveston, and I stayed in Galveston for more than a week as a chairman of the India's Disaster Relief Committee, and we collected and donated $20,000 to the UTMB, which is the medical school, and also help Galveston effort. That was Ike. And when the fire kind of destroyed 4-leaf apartments in southwest Houston, one of the firemen died, and we collected fund at Consul General Wang Di's house to give it to the family to help his wife, who was a teacher. So these were my involvements with the local community.
Yeah, Mr. Kannappan, I know you have achieved a lot, you have a lot of experience. What kind of advice can you give it to new immigrants to enjoy their own culture and cultural values and communities and to gradually integrate into Western culture?
Right. When you come from India, it is very difficult to immediately adopt because we are very shy, we don't speak up, but you should always find one or two people, at least one or two people in the office, in the neighborhood, who will talk to you. So you kind of cultivate the friendship with them and learn the local traditions. And as far as the office is concerned, usually Indian Americans talk in Indian languages which Americans don't appreciate. So always speak in English when there are Americans around so that they can also understand what you are talking. And also Indians talk very loud and also loud on the phone. When we get angry, we really raise our voice. Some of those things kind of bother American colleagues. So you need to learn from them how to handle situations like this so that you become their friends, not adversaries.
Thank you. Do you still visit your home country?
Go on, every 3 years I visit India. And till my mother lived, we were going often. Now maybe once in 3 years.
What are you doing for the benefit of your own home country?
Well, I am coming from a much smaller village, rural place where I went to high school. So every time we go to India, we conduct eye camp, health camp. And with my friendship with former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.G. Ramachandran, we have laid roads in my village and also provided fluorescent lights in the streets, which is still burning, which is a good thing for the local villagers. And as the National Secretary for Tamil Nadu Foundation, at that time I introduced computer on wheels in North Arcot district. At the time the PC just came about, so we started doing this project, but because of the road conditions and all that, that did not take off well. Maintenance of the computers was very difficult. Then same way with the help of M.G. Ramachandran, we received land in Taylor's Road, Kilpark, where we built Tamil Nadu Foundation Center, where now the computer classes and the education improvements are done in Tamil Nadu by current office bearers. I was the National Secretary in 1984-85, the time when computers was just coming up even in the United States.
What do you do for the betterment of Indo-US relationship?
Well, I always keep a very good relationship with elected officials like Mayor of Pearland, Tom Reed, or Judge Emmett of Harris County, or Governor of Texas, Rick Perry. And other than that, at the level of American friends, I always talk about values in India which they appreciate. The respect for India and Indian Americans have tremendously increased in the last 10 years compared to when we came. The time when we came in 60s, they used to ask us, when are you going to go back to India? With your knowledge, you should help poor country like India. But no longer they talk about like that. They talk more about the IT professionals from India and the knowledge base Indian youth has. So I think there's a very good opportunity for Indian Americans and Americans to work together for mutual benefit.
What is your view about charity and philanthropy?
Well, like Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, you should help without any expectation. You need to help the needy whom you do not know, or you will not see them again. That is the real charity and philanthropy. Whatever you can afford to give, I think you need to help the people who need it, just like giving scholarships, educating people, things like that, that even one youth getting educated will lift the whole family from poverty. And so you can very easily help in those areas. And I think that's what when I think of charity and philanthropy, that's what I think.
What do you think still have to change here in this community or in this country related to immigration?
Well, immigration is a very sensitive topic, okay? But America is a land of opportunity, okay? Indians and Filipinos were given a green card only for 100 people per year in 1946. Then in 1965, that number was increased to 25,000. So you see there is a lot more people received permanent residency, what is called green card, after 1965. Even now, there's always a debate and arguments about who should get it, okay? But I think America needs talented people, hardworking people, so they need to be given an opportunity if they wish to immigrate to United States. That will be beneficial for American growth and also for those families who are looking for better opportunities. So it is a kind of a very tricky subject, but immigration needs to be continued with careful monitoring and on merit basis.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any regrets for coming to USA?
No, with all the land and property prices up in India, sometimes I think maybe I would have made more money if I stayed in India. But opportunity for the children and the standard of living, looking at all that, America is definitely a country of opportunity. I have no regrets for having come here.
And I know that you have done a lot of achievement, a lot of charity work, a lot of philanthropy. Could you please show us, all this? Could you explain a little bit about it?
Okay. This one is the award I received from the Indian Engineers Association, Houston, for my serving on the PE board. This one is the international TV channel, which one they selected me from Houston area for my voluntary service. And this one is the award given in Chennai, and it says that Sevai Chemmal, which is like your service, title given for the service, voluntary service. So these were the few awards I received, and I also serve as a trustee on Sangar Netralaya Eye Trust, which is located in Chennai, with my good friend Dr. S.S. Badrinath. And Dr. Judge Ed Emmett sworn in me as the Texas PE board member, which was the appointment given by Rick Perry through 2017. Then I was elected to the National PE Board Southern Zone Secretary. From the Texas PE Board, I was elected as the Secretary Treasurer for the Southern Zone. That's this picture. And this one is again the award given by Indian Engineers Association in Houston. And the Bharati Kalamandram, which I told you was founded by me and Dr. Alagasamy in 1974, had celebrated 40th year recently. So this is where they honored us with 40 years of service in Houston. And one of my responsibilities at the PE board, I am the chairman of the enforcement committee. And as you know, the enforcement, you talk about ethics. So I give many seminars on engineering ethics in the state of Texas. And this is the National Society of Professional Engineers. The professional engineers are the ones licensed to practice engineering in the state. And this is a national society for all the professional engineers.
Okay. When you try to do something for your community, what kind of issues you faced for you to do good for the community?
Well, there's always a jealousy, and but what it is somebody may be thinking that they should have done what you are doing, but they were not given opportunity, things like that. So the criticism always comes up, okay, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. You will hear it, but you should not feel discouraged by those criticisms. As long as your consciousness is clear and you are doing the right thing, you can proceed and you will succeed. And people usually would accept you and what you do after they see the result. So you have to be goal-oriented and never talk bad about others. That's not the way to achieve anything. And by doing your job sincerely, not paying attention to some criticisms, you will make progress. But if the criticism is a genuine one and you need to correct yourself right away, not proceed. When once your own consciousness will tell you you are wrong, then you should stop what you are doing and reevaluate your path.
Could you please elaborate more on your family, your kids? Could you please give us more information?
Yeah. See, I come from a business community of a business owner from my grandfather time on. Then in my generation, more importance was given to education. That's why I became an engineer and came here. And my wife comes from a very reputable family, and she is very devoted to the temple and with the rituals and pujas, very much, at least 3 times a week. She is able to go, even now, from the beginning now, she's able to go to the temple. My kids are all doing well. My first son was born in Madurai. The other 3 kids were born in Houston. So we are essentially Houstonians. And we moved to Tennessee and then worked in Washington, D.C. area in Maryland for a total of 10 years. out of my 46 years, I was away for 10 years and back in 92. And so their education, elementary school, all that in Houston. The college started in Maryland and then completed in Houston. And we are happy, they are doing well.
Very, very good. So I know that you have done a lot of stuff, you have achieved a lot. What is your plan, future? Do you have anything in your mind? You already written 2 books. Are you planning to write more books, or what is your future plan?
Well, my belief is to make things simple for common man. And when I say that, it is through writings. So I am trying to learn higher order things and write it in a simple way, leave it behind, so that people can understand. They don't have to have a background of quantum mechanics or dynamics, but they should be able to understand what I write in simple words. The reason is even the highest philosophies are very simple in nature. So I really hope the God would kind of help me to understand higher order things and write it in simple words so that common man can understand what I write today. Maybe another 50 years from now, people will be smarter and understand what I write more than what I know now. But I think there are a lot of information available which needs to be kind of let the common man know. That's my main aim.
Do you have any special hobbies?
Well, social work is my hobby. I do not have any other way of spending my time other than I do social work.
Okay, the final question is, sir, what is the message you want to give it to the viewers?
Oh, I very much appreciate the Foundation for India Studies and Mr. Krishna Vavilala for this opportunity to speak up. And my Indian friends, this is the year 2014, is a window of opportunity for you, because your talent and your knowledge is very much respected by fellow Americans. So try to make use of this window of opportunity and establish yourself in a positive way, so that when they talk about Indian Americans, they should immediately think that group of immigrants are contributing a lot for the welfare of America. They came from India, but they really helped America to move one step higher. So I would really very much like Indian American immigrants to get that kind of honor by Americans. They should say that, okay? And I think that is definitely possible, okay? So we need to focus on what is important without any inner fighting, jealousy. We have to leave all those things to the side and work together as a team within Indian American community and with American community, and leave something behind, positive in nature, so that when they look at, when they think of us, they should think very positive. They should get a very positive image, not negative.
Thank you, Mr. Sam Kannappan. Very interesting. I learned a lot from you. It was very interesting you took your time off from your work. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.